Okay, I'm gonna try, we'll see what I can do in 10 minutes here. Number 1, this at the center of our chest, at this spot right here. So if you feel like your chest and then your rib cage kind of climbs in, there's this center spot it meets. This spot, if I keep it, even just, I move it just down. I'm thinking in this thing just literally downwards. The rest of my body follows. So conversely, it will do it when it comes up too. I don't need to do all of this business, but if I think of it as like a flashlight pointing straight ahead, like Iron Man, pointing straight ahead, then, well, I'm pointing at the camera here, but it would be straight ahead. That'd stay up, especially when you're at the desk. I'm here, I'm at the laptop, I'm coming in this way forward. Okay, even in this position right here, okay, let me bring my chest up. Immediately, that top part of my neck has opened up. Now, another thing is you can just do this motion right here. Just think of your chest going in and out. One way to practice tolerating a position you are likely to be in. You don't need to be thinking about perfect posture all the time. We need you to think about it enough that you develop good posture. So, here, my sternum happened to be down as I'm at the computer here. I'm going to bring that sternum up. Let me center this photo. So the sternum's down, the sternum has come up. Sternum down, sternum has come up. Now the other thing that associates with that sternum coming up is you'll feel your chest opening up in this direction. See if you can spread those hands a little bit. This is why ergonomic keyboards are useful, because they let you hold your hands about yay wide compared to laptops, which might bring you in a little closer, a little more forward, this direction. So this movement right here does enough for you. Get it from pointing at the screen and the keyboard to pointing up. Think of it as pointing at the webcam. There you go. That's actually that. Yeah, perfect. Pointed at the webcam right there. That brings that up. Now, that's our chest. Conversely, the other thing that we can do is to help strengthen our back. If we're rounded forward this way, then I want to, that sternum coming up sets me here. That's great. Now I can think of my shoulders as rolling back, and then trying to think my hands and my elbows as squeezing together. So right here, if this is one straight line and this is the other straight line, it's like a door kind of like closing a little bit. I'm trying to squeeze towards the center of my body back here. The important part here is to think of the elbows as driving the movement, but this entire unit is moving, because I can do this and move those shoulders back. Now this is useful, but I really want to emphasize from a postural perspective, getting the shoulders to move with you. All right, this you can also think of just like Surya Namaskar. That first step is up, get that big stretch like people do when they're waking up out of bed. Now that big stretch, we can go right into talking about this. I can do this movement here, but at a certain point, we might start moving or initiating with our hips. I don't want that. I want to isolate the shoulder. Now we can isolate that, but even then there might be a moment where I let my rib cage move with me. I want to just move my shoulder with me. Now this is okay, because I want to eventually progress to the shoulder all the way up here just by itself. But we can do one at a time, right? So we can do this movement slowly a few times. Say even at the very start, I have my hip coming with me a little bit. That's okay. We can slowly progress towards, say, let's do 5 reps there. Now I'm going to add the awareness of not moving my hips. Okay, I notice my rib cage wanting to come along with me a little bit. Let's warm up into that motion. There's 5 reps. Now I'm going to add the mindfulness about the rib cage. And let's see, okay, now if I had both of those, I can get to there. That's pretty solid. Let's do 10 reps there. Now that was your first set, which included your warm-up. So after that, you'll just do 1 or 2 more sets of that same kind of movement and pattern. Same thing with those shoulder blade squeezes and that sternum up movement. The sternum up movement is a great start. That'll just be about 10 repetitions there. That will help segue into that shoulder blade squeezing moment, which complements that motion. And then now we will add the arm and shoulder movement into it. So now you've really loosened up the chest. You brought those shoulder blades back together, so everything right around your heart and rib cage where you can breathe. And now you're letting the arms massage and move the neck a little bit. That should be a good solid sequence for the upper body. We're at 5 minutes. That's a good start. Let's now talk about chin tucks. This is the motion. I'm trying to minimize the head being forward like this. Now I could just move this head back in this way. That's great and all, but what I really want to accomplish here is letting it come back and getting the height and kind of the alignment this way. So let's add that sternum, a little bit of those shoulders. And we're in a good position to do the movement, because if you could try it down here, but you just don't get any movement there. You just can't accomplish the movement, which is why we did what we did before. Because now you know to set yourself up here, you can accomplish this movement. So people will do it with using their hands, think of it as pushing the chin back. But I'm also thinking of lengthening here, getting taller here. Now one thing that can help with this is the use of a wall a little bit. So I'm standing here, this is a doorway closet, but I'm keeping my feet a little bit away from the wall so that I can kind of rest my hips and my back. I hope it keeps recording. Now in this position, if my head gets a little bit against the wall, if I push my chin in, I can feel it sliding up against the wall. As long as I keep my gaze up and level, I can use the hand to assist me a few times, and I can take it away. You'll feel this kind of pull of these two sides along your head kind of pulling you up. Nice and taut. You'll feel your chest wanting to come up with you as the chin shortens and pulls the sternum up even more. Now, this is helpful as a reference. Let's now move out to move it. Try to accomplish that movement ourselves, this region right here. You can see where that kind of double chin line forms a little bit there. So there's our upper body, 10 minutes kind of dealt with. Let's add just a couple of hand movements here. One, I think we kind of demonstrated earlier a little bit with those shoulder blades, thinking of this as a unit, as one single rod moving forward and backward. So it's passing that midline, rolling back and forward. And then the hand movement with that will add this way. So you just see now it's the same movement here, but I've added this rotation element as well. So we had those kind of like platters of food. Now in that movement here, we talked about that hip. When we did this movement here, we talked about the hips moving with us. Let's try to minimize that here as well. There'll be a point where we want to kind of open and move our body forward. I don't know if that's demonstrating well on screen. I'm over exaggerating it. Let's do the same thing we did last time, right? Just do the motion a couple times. Add the pieces of awareness as you go, so you can feel it level up, like just little Lego blocks. You're just building the movement in the steps till you can understand it and replicate it. You're finding what you need to find at each step, having it, and then adding on top, one at a time. Last one with the hands here. We'll set ourselves up again. I want to move my hands out a little bit to the sides. If you're able to keep them just by your sides here with palms facing out, that's normally a pretty good sign that you can keep your hands up. You might find it's a little uncomfortable and they feel a bit more natural, a bit out to the side. That's okay. That progression inwards can be a small marker of your progress in this movement. Right here, I'm going to go out, little bit behind my head, and back in. We might have the tendency to want to move our head a little bit forward to be able to accomplish this movement. Let's again keep doing the same thing. We'll let it be for a couple of repetitions, but then we'll add the awareness. There we go. There's the upper body movement. I got 30 seconds left, so this has all been done without any equipment, anything. You can just do it right there. Last one, hand movement right here. I'm going to use my fingers to kind of block these two hands, and then I'm going to try and bring this ring finger down. These fingers want to move. This finger especially will want to move with me at the start. Let's do just a couple of those hand movements. Let's say about a couple of 5 to 10 repetitions, trying to get it down into this point here. You'll feel it move down your hand. Then, after having done that, you'll use the hands to support, block that ring finger. You might feel a little tautness here. That's okay, that's what we're trying to slowly move and glide through. Get that. This index finger wants to come with me a little bit. After, say, another 10 repetitions of this movement, let's block that finger as well. This is very questionable movement, but slowly back and forth. You'll feel it kind of moving right there. This is an area called your median nerve. If you're able to get this point to contact, this is just a little additional knowledge, that traditional Chinese meridians talk about this being kind of the heart point, the center heart point. The movement of it is supposed to facilitate flow along that median nerve, which basically goes right over to your aerobic system. So that movement, just some Spider-Man movement. You can even add before at the start that ring finger too. Get a little Spider-Man movement in there. That's going to help loosen up a little bit of that wrist. I'll keep it at the end here. Let's add maybe just a couple of wrist movements, back and forth, up and down, rotational. We'll expand those to include the elbows. We'll expand those to include the shoulders. That's it. All right. That, I think, is plenty to start with.